Hello and welcome to the Mark Dolan Show. From Buckingham Palace in central London, Britain is now being rocked by the biggest crisis in its monarchy in 100 years. Coming up, shocking developments in the Prince Andrew scandal, with Charles and his disgraced brother Andrew now fully at war. The gloves are off. The biggest focus on the part of King Charles at the moment is to evict his son from the 30-bedroom royal lodge. There's even a suggestion that Andrew could take a small room behind me in Buckingham Palace. We'll get to that very, very shortly. I've got the inside story. Plus, the full scale of Meghan Markle's terrifying ambition and obsession with control. All of that will be revealed, you won't believe it. But first, Prince Harry's wild hypocrisy. Now, Prince Harry is a man who has inflicted enormous damage on his family, his country of birth, and the institution of the monarchy. The guy is a wrecking ball. He's a very damaged person who wants to damage others and the world. And yet, he's now embarked on a truly mesmerizingly pathetic rebrand, pitching himself as one of the good guys. Now, this is a shocking public relations exercise which shows just how desperate Harry has become and just how desperate the Sussexes have become as well. So, Prince Harry has signed a really important letter, okay? And here's what he's saying. He's issued a stark warning that humanity has no second chance to get artificial intelligence right, joining a coalition of public figures, including his wife Meghan Markle, my husband, for a worldwide ban on super intelligent AI. Now, what does Harry know about super intelligence? This guy hasn't got two brain cells to rub together. Now he's in charge of the internet. Now, the guy has got serious previous on this one. This is a man who detests individual autonomy and freedom. He hates the press. He's always suing. And of course, don't forget, he always loses. He's on the hook now for around $1 million for his failed court case against the Mail on Sunday. And now he wants to take on AI. And the thing is, Harry doesn't care about AI. He wouldn't know a computer if it came and bit him on the bum. But suddenly he's an expert on artificial intelligence. And the reason why, it's the optics, it's the imagery. Okay, he sees himself as a sort of Obama, like a Barack Obama type. A sort of global influencer. Hi, I'm Barack Obama. I'm Barack Obama. You know, that's what he thinks. But you're not Barack Obama. You're not any of those sort of people. You're not a global figure, Harry. All that happened with you is that you won the womb lottery, with your father being King Charles, who is chilling out with a cup of tea behind me right now, and the, of course, son of Diana, Princess of Wales. You got lucky. You won the womb lottery, Harry, and nothing more. So the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have co-signed an open letter which includes billionaires Richard Branson and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak. And the reason why is because Harry and Meghan are not interested in anyone else. They're not interested in normal people. They only hang out with billionaires. Even millionaires aren't enough for Meghan. And don't forget, the Mark Dolan Show is the first show in the world to place Harry and Meghan on 24/7 Divorce Watch. She'll be looking not for a millionaire. It won't be enough if her next husband is a multi-millionaire. It's got to be a B. It's got to be a billionaire. So they've signed this letter with Richard Branson and Steve Wozniak, who are both, by the way, very accomplished people. Unlike Harry and Meghan, they've actually done something constructive with their lives. Richard Branson founded Virgin, which of course is an amazing airline, radio station, record label. He's a very, very impressive guy. And then Steve Wozniak co-founded Apple, which is arguably the greatest company in the history of the world. It's certainly the richest company of all history, and that includes inflation. So you can't compare it to like the Ford Motor Company 50 years ago. Apple is the biggest company of all time. So these folks know their onions. Why are Harry and Meghan on that list? Who are they kidding that they're on a level playing field with Richard Branson and Steve Wozniak? Do me a favor. So in his personal note attached to the letter, because Harry wrote a special little note as well, he signed this note with lots of other people that have achieved big things in their life, and then he wrote his own little note. Hi, I'm Prince Harry. I've written an extra little note. I hope you can read my handwriting. It's all done in crayon and I've used big letters because I struggled a bit at school. I couldn't quite crack English, which I realise is my language of birth. Hompa-dompa-dompa-dom. I mean, my English isn't that bad. I know how to order a Baconator from Wendy's. This is my favourite burger. So, in his personal note attached to the letter, Harry urged caution as the world races towards an AI-driven future. What does Harry know about artificial intelligence and the future of the internet? I mean, I don't know, which is why I'm not lecturing you about it. And I will leave it to the experts, people that actually understand computers, maybe Bill Gates, even though he's a creepy man. Bill Gates, creepy. No wonder Melinda ran for the hills. What a divorce settlement that was. She's a lucky lady. She's nobody's fool, Melinda Gates. She got away from that creepy nerd, Bill Gates. But what I will say is I will listen to Bill Gates with his opinion on AI and artificial intelligence. Do you know what it is? Do you know what AI is? I mean, far be it from me to explain, because I am a very analog personality. But it's basically software. It's computers that do all the stuff that human beings used to do. That's my understanding of AI. So you've got this thing called ChatGPT or Grok. There are two different products. And it's basically a website, and you can ask any question in the world and it will generate an answer in a second. And the concern about AI is it's going to replace lawyers, it's going to replace journalists. One thing I can tell you, in fact I can promise you, it won't replace me. Under any circumstances, I shall not be replaced by a robot. And I'll tell you for why, partly. Robots can't sing, and I can't explain. So don't you worry about that. And can I tell you the other person that's not going to be replaced by AI? You. You are not going to be replaced by AI. The audience of the Mark Dolan Show and the host of the Mark Dolan Show, Mark Dolan, we will not be replaced by the robots. And the other person that won't be replaced is Reg, my neighbour's cat, who will be making a return to the show very shortly. I anticipate on Sunday. Right. So Harry wrote a special note all about AI. He doesn't care about artificial intelligence. He doesn't care about computers. He doesn't care about software. Harry cares about his public image. Now, this has got Meghan written all over it, right? Meghan's said, oh, Harry, what we got to do, we got to hang out with Steve Wozniak from Apple, and we got to hang out with Richard Branson, who looks a bit like you. He's kind of got a sort of ginger beard and ginger hair. Although he's got more hair than you do, which is ironic because he's double your age. That's disappointing, isn't it? And actually, I might marry Richard Branson after we divorce because he's a billionaire, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone like Richard Branson, Warren Buffett. I'd love to buff the Buffett, is what I would like to do, is buff the Buffett. It's really lucky that I'm into 95-year-old wrinkly men. It's just a look I go for. I'm looking for the older, slightly decrepit man. It's a look that I like. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go for the media magnate Rupert Murdoch. I like Meghan Markle. She's a strong woman with excellent genetics. I've invested a lot of money over the years in newspapers, in television networks, and I can see myself buying shares in Meghan Markle because she's a formidable personality. And she would be my queen. She would be the queen of the Murdoch empire, and I'd make her a big star. And the other thing I like about her is her physiology. She's got a strong genetic code. I like her DNA. She's got excellent deoxyribonucleic acid. Guys, we do not have time for this. I'm in front of Buckingham Palace, and I've got to tell you some extraordinary developments in the Prince Andrew scandal. But can we just deal with Harry's ridiculous rant about artificial intelligence, which is only about public relations? It is a stunt. He said, the future of AI should serve humanity, not replace it. The true test of progress will not be how fast we move, but how wisely we steer. What does that even mean? That's a word salad. This is affecting my mental health. How wisely we steer. He thinks he's Barack Obama. He's not Barack Obama. He thinks he's Abraham Lincoln. He's none of those people. He ended with a chilling warning. He said, there is no second chance. Tell me about it, Harry. You read my mind, because you have destroyed your family here in the United Kingdom, and there's no second chance for you, as you discovered following the Clarence House summit, just a few meters from where I'm standing, where you were given a quick half an hour from the king, who said, frankly, if you don't behave yourself, then any reconciliation is not going to happen.
When you're at home, you want to be safe, happy and secure. It's why we have locks on the front door. So why not have the same online? Unfortunately, when you're using your computer, tablet or smartphone, companies can track you, exploit your data and see exactly what you're up to. And I don't want anyone finding out about my cat video habit. Plus, there are bad actors out there, hackers, scammers, viruses, bots, malware, all ready to make your life miserable. Not to mention those endless annoying ads that aren't nearly as entertaining as this one. That's why I use Surfshark VPN. Surfshark VPN is a virtual private network that protects you online, an invisible shield that hides your location and keeps you and your data private. And here's the fun part. It also unlocks content from around the world. So, do you want to watch NBC without being in America or the BBC without being in the UK? No problem. Surfshark is safe, secure, and opens up a whole world of global content. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee so you can try it completely risk-free. And here's the deal. If you go to surfshark.com/Dolan or use the code Dolan at checkout, you'll get 4 extra months absolutely free. That is surfshark.com/Dolan or code Dolan for 4 extra months free. Right, even though I'm in Britain, I'm now off to a US website to watch season 3 of Suits. Meghan's brilliant in it.
By the way, look at the enormous numbers of fans of the Mark Dolan show. Look at this. We are so popular at the moment. Look at that. Hello! There you go. They all agree to be on camera. You see, Britain is nice to see you. Where are you from?
Spain.
Spain. I love Spain. Madrid. Barcelona. So where? Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to come and visit you guys. Have a great trip. Lots of love. Adios. Adios. So the letter published by the Future of Life Institute. See, look at that. I mean, this is what happens, you know. You get a crowd because we're building something here on the Mark Dolan Show, a global audience. Thank you, boss. Ciao. Look at that. Never felt more popular. Right. The letter published by the Future of Life Institute calls for an immediate halt to the creation of so-called superintelligence, AI systems capable of outperforming humans in nearly all cognitive tasks until it can be proven safe and democratically governed. Now, look, this is a massive word salad, okay? And it's because Harry couldn't care less. Harry couldn't care less about any of these issues whatsoever. He and Meghan, can I tell you something? He and Meghan are running scared, right? Meghan and Harry are deeply worried because they've seen what's happened to Prince Andrew. As I reported exclusively on the show yesterday, when William becomes king, he's going to have an act of parliament and he's going to take all of the prince titles and princess titles from every royal that's not a serving royal. That includes Harry, and it includes Archie and Lily, and it can't come too soon. So that's why they've decided that they're going to get very involved in lots of good public projects. All of Harry's charity work, right? There is a long history of this. Harry's charity work is cynical. Now, I will grant you that Sentebale has done good things. I will grant you that African, what's it called? The Amazing African Charity that he's had problems recently has been a force for good. Even Invictus has done great things. That there's only one negative, African Parks. If there's only one negative from Harry's involvement in these charities, and it's Harry himself. He's the one who has tainted these organisations to the point where Sentebale have thrown him out, and the wonderful Dr. Sophie Chandauka is now in charge, having won that battle. Invictus want him out because Invictus has become about Harry and Meghan. And of course, African Parks is another charity that he's had to walk away from because that charity is a hot mess, a smoking ruin of a charity and a public relations dumpster fire. So the couple are looking at whatever they can do to boost their profile, to remain relevant, but more than that, right, to whitewash their image. And here's the other thing, by the way. I'm a great believer in artificial technology, and I don't think that a rich aristocrat who won the womb lottery that used to live in that house behind me should be deciding the future of humanity. We have a thing called democracy, and it's up for us to decide. And can I tell you that I do not want technology to be suppressed by a rather depressed, slightly overweight, middle-aged ginger man. I don't want Harry deciding the future of artificial intelligence. I mean, what it can do, folks, is transform our lives. That you won't have to have so many boring jobs anymore, like bookkeepers and low-level accountancy and clerical work in a lawyer's office. It will all be done automatically. Potentially, we'll have more leisure time. It could be great for the environment because you haven't got people like going in cars and driving to offices unnecessarily.
Time to be unemployed.
Well, maybe someone's going to have to pay for it is the only thing that my good friend here
The
is.
elites, the 0.1%, will become even richer.
Well, there you go. My friend here is not happy because you're saying that the AI is going to be good for the elites, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You see.
For the people who write the algorithms for it.
You see. You know, I mean, look, you raise a point, and I will say that my mind is open. What I'd rather do, I'd rather listen to that gentleman who clearly knows a thing or two about the world, and what he's got is critical judgment, which is very rare in this world. But secondly, I'd rather hear what he thinks than Prince Harry, who's a dim man. He didn't even get 2 A levels. He's as thick as 2 short planks. So, this is the Sussexes. Don't forget, earlier this month, they won the Humanitarians of the Year award. Then they jet around the world. Harry goes to the Ukraine because he's so worried about all the casualties. Nice to meet you, young man. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Harry goes to the Ukraine because he's so worried about that war and poses for a photograph and lectures people about mental health. So what Harry and Meghan are, they're the biggest virtue signalers on the planet. And even Meghan got involved, right? Meghan said, she said about the AI thing, artificial intelligence, she said, our children, Archie and Lily, are just 6 and 4 years old. Luckily, still too young for social media, but we know that day is coming. Like so many parents, we think constantly about how to embrace technology's benefits while safeguarding against its dangers. Well, Meghan, maybe you should have thought of that before you put your children on the internet. Because Meghan is saying that Archie and Lily, I don't call her Lilibet because that is a stolen name. Her original name is Lilibet, which is the private nickname of Queen Elizabeth II, who used to live in that house over there. So we call her Lily. She said that they don't have the internet yet. Well, that's fine. But they're on the internet because their mother has put them on the internet with relentless Instagram videos with a creepy heart in front of their face or with their heads turned to the back of the camera, which I think is creepy and encourages the stalkers because it creates curiosity about who they are and what they look like. So truly shocking stuff. The whole thing is wild. And Harry added, this is a pivotal moment in our collective mission to protect children and support families in a digital age. Now, I've got a massive, massive element of this that we need to look at. A huge part of Harry and Meghan's decision to have this hypocritical rant about the dangers of the internet, given that they've made their kids, who are so young, global celebrities via the internet. But there's more to this than meets the eye, because a lot of this is about one person in particular, and it's Catherine. Fabulous, gorgeous Princess Catherine. Because Princess Catherine warned about this years ago. Her children don't have smartphones, they've got no access to the internet, and her children, right, they don't have parents who put their kids on the internet. What you get is some really nice, beautiful official family portraits on special occasions like the birthday and Christmas Day and Mothering Sunday and that sort of thing. But the bottom line is that they're serious about the privacy and safety of their children, unlike Harry and Meghan. So, lovely Catherine contributed to an essay through the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood titled The Power of Human Connection in a Distracted World. Right now, this is very authoritative coming from Catherine. She's a very, very intelligent person, and she's warned that society's growing reliance on screens and devices is becoming toxic to health. She's absolutely right. She said, while new technology has many benefits, we must also acknowledge that it plays a complex and often troubling role in the epidemic of disconnection. Now, that was a brilliant thing to say. She said it months ago. And what does Meghan do? Meghan watches that and thinks, anything Catherine can do, I can do better. And that's the story. This is competition. It's very, very clear that Meghan detests Princess Catherine and has resented her since day one. Why? Well, because she suddenly realized when she came to England and married Prince Harry that she would always be number 2. And a number 2 she is, let me tell you. She knew that Harry was discovered Harry was going to be the spare. They were living in a much smaller house with much less royal status, and that Catherine was going to become queen and Meghan would just stay plain old Duchess of Sussex, and she has detested her ever since then. So all of that is very competitive. because Meghan is competitive. So before we get to Andrew and big new developments, Meghan's trip to Paris was a hot mess. We know that. She desecrated the memory of Princess Diana with her feet up in the back of the car as the limousine flew through roads not very far away from the tunnel where Diana lost her life. How insensitive, how ignorant. She stayed in a hotel which is a 4-minute walk from where Diana passed away. Can you imagine if your late mother-in-law had died in a major city? Would you want to be in a hotel minutes from where she lost her life? No, I'd be miles out. I'd be in the airport hotel. I'll be honest, I love airport hotels. I find that the service at airport hotels is quicker because they know everyone's on a schedule, everyone's in a hurry, the food comes quick, breakfast is quick, coffee's quick. I love an airport hotel. In fact, I would say that I would potentially have a holiday in an airport hotel, even if I wasn't flying. I could just go to the airport hotel and have a nice week in the airport hotel. And I find the sound of airlines very, very relaxing. Not unlike the cheap diesel trucks that are on the 7-lane highway in front of Thomas Markle Sr.'s house in the Philippines. We'll come to that on another occasion. So here's a big thing that's going on. It's revealed since Meghan came back from Paris that it was her idea all along to go to Paris Fashion Week and that she begged for tickets. So the Balenciaga designer Pier Paolo Piccioli has revealed that Meghan invited herself to his Paris Fashion Week show. He said, Meghan and I met some years ago and we've been texting ever since. He said to The Cut, she reached out and said she would really love to come to the show, and that tells you everything you need to know about Meghan. Right? Everything she does is on purpose. It's not an accident. She's not an organic person. It's all strategic. She's a very, very good chess player. Remember what I was saying before. On the Mark Dolan show, we've identified the talent that Meghan has, and it's not acting, it's not hosting a TV show, it's not homemaking, it's not being a great wife or a great mother. What Meghan's really good at, her genius, is getting what she wants. And it's because she is ruthless. There's no self-consciousness, there's no empathy, she just goes for it, right? And she won't take no for an answer, which is why she determinedly went to Paris for several reasons. First of all, to stay relevant. Secondly, because she's interested in having her As Ever brand enter the world of fashion, which will also turn to complete mud. And then the other reason she did it is to send out a message that her and Harry are no more, right? She's establishing herself, Meghan is establishing herself as a solo brand. I promise you, she's a solo act now. And she sees Harry as toxic, as damaged goods and surplus to requirement. Next up, we need to talk about King Charles and his battle with Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson over the Royal Lodge. Now, it could be quite straightforward for Andrew to lose his title of Prince Andrew and to lose the Duke of York, because we know that he remains the Duke of York, he's just not using the title. The accommodation is a bigger problem, partly because it's so visual that Andrew is going to be living and is living in this 30-bedroom extraordinary mansion, which is twice the size of William and Catherine's forever home. So it's very likely that you'll have the disgraced Prince Andrew living in a much bigger house next door to the home of the future King of the United Kingdom and Queen. So Charles wants Andrew out of the Royal Lodge, but it looks like it's going to be very, very difficult. So Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, have been living rent-free at the sprawling 30-room Windsor mansion since 2003 under a lease so watertight that experts describe any attempt to remove Andrew as a waste of time. Now, the Duke paid £1 million, about $1.5 million for a 75-year lease, which runs until 2078, and names him and his family as tenants. That's basically a home for life. That's what's going on. The agreement was made shortly after the death of the Queen Mother, who had lived there for half a century. What would she make of the royal family now? And the hot mess that it's become. She used to hang out in there with her large gin and tonic, gambling on the racehorses. She loved a flutter. She loves the races. I really miss the Queen Mother. She was just as much of a rock star as her daughter Elizabeth. In fact, maybe even more so. Wonderful footage of her and photographs of her after the Blitz in London during the Second World War, walking on rubble in London with homes bombed out, people just on the streets, scrabbling around for possessions. And there she was, an iconic photograph of the Queen Mother, Elizabeth's mother, just keeping it real. That is the magic of the royal family at its best. And now what have you got? You've got the ludicrous Prince Andrew. Oh, I've got a much bigger house than William, and that's funny because he's going to be king. Oh, I've got loads more girlfriends as well. Oh, and then Harry, obnoxious, spoiled brat that's called the family a bunch of racists. I mean, you couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. I find it hard to compute what they've done. And as I said yesterday, in his own way, Harry is as bad as Andrew. He's as bad as Andrew. So, top property lawyer Mike Handsome, a partner at BLB Solicitors, told the Mirror newspaper, who are very good for royal exclusives, any attempt to get Andrew out of the Royal Lodge would be futile. He bought the property on a long-term lease and is legally entitled to remain there until 2078. And unfortunately, given the excellent genetics of the royal family, Andrew's got a lot of living in him. He's only mid-60s, he's about 65, in reasonable health, a little chunky, but not too bad. He's not obese, is he? This guy could do another 3 or 4 decades as a massive headache. Not only could Andrew taint and derail Charles's reign, but he could actually taint and derail William's reign too. So unless Andrew voluntarily agrees to leave or breaches the term of the contract, which seems unlikely, says this lawyer, there's virtually nothing the Crown can do. Now, this could be a real setback to those calling for Andrew to vacate the Royal Lodge, including Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick, who's a good friend of mine. He's a very, very good guy, Robert Jenrick, very wise man, a great politician. And he's argued that the public is sick of funding Andrew's lavish lifestyle, and big Robert Jenrick is absolutely right about that. Property expert Henry Sherwood agreed that the Duke's position is secure. He said it's effectively a peppercorn lease. He pays a nominal amount, probably just £1 a year. £1 a year to live in a house nearly as big as that one. He said without a break clause, the lease stands for its full term. Only some obscure royal statute, if one even exists, could change that. So it's a big headache. There are lots of factors here because Andrew's security is one factor. He is paying his own security now. One of the reasons why he wants to stay at the Royal Lodge is because he's within the royal protection zone. So if he just winds up in some crappy apartment in Mayfair, he hasn't got that security. And imagine if something happened to Andrew, God forbid. I know he's an idiot, I know he's a fool, but you wouldn't want him to be kidnapped or the victim of a terror attack or something. He'll be a target. He's the king's brother. So this is the dilemma for our wonderful king, is that yes, he's got to be tough with Andrew, but at the same time, he's got to make sure he's safe, and blood is thicker than water. Andrew can't just be on the streets in a tent. It's very interesting looking at the different factors behind why Charles was so weak with Andrew in the first place. Omid Scobie is a man I don't take seriously at all. He's a client journalist. He's basically the mouthpiece of Harry and Meghan and responsible for all of the propaganda that comes out of the Sussex PR machine. So when I hear Omid Scobie, I'm like, la 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 la, couldn't care less what you got to say, but. He did say something recently in his book, Endgame, which I thought was quite smart, which is he said that while the monarch has long openly detested Andrew's indiscretions, the king has something of a brotherly bias for him. He goes on to say, one all too human family complication that the king apparently has a blind spot for is the shameful burden of Prince Andrew. He said understandably he cares for his brother, so much so that a close source said that during the most heightened moments of Andrew's downfall, Charles was tearful over fears for the shamed Duke's mental health. Charles was worried about Andrew's mental health. And it demonstrates my point, which is that Charles is a good man, and he's a sweet man, and he's a decent man, but he's irredeemably weak. Another argument is that he doesn't want to strip him of the prince title because it's a waste of parliamentary time, and he feels that it politicises the monarchy to have legislation going through parliament which is to do with the royal family. So, this is one excuse And Andrew Lowney, who of course I interviewed on Talk TV recently, the author of the book about the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, called Entitled, Andrew Lowney said that he's using the complications of Parliament to not strip his brother of his titles. He also said that the palace's response to the Andrew problem left a lot to be desired. He said the palace are doing too little, too late, as always, and trying to preserve the status quo. Royal expert Emily Andrews agrees with him, echoing these sentiments to the BBC, the BBC Breakfast Show, saying this line from Buckingham Palace, that the king doesn't want to take up Parliament's time, doesn't want to make a fuss, is a smokescreen, because actually it could be done very easily. While Andrews admits that it would be tricky to remove the title of prince from the disgraced royal, she claimed sources in the government told her that Andrew's dukedom could be gone in a day. The lack of action, or as Lowney dubbed it, too little too late, might be part of something of a brotherly blind spot, and one that royal author Andrew Lowney has claimed Andrew has got. Well, of course he has, because, Charles has got. You know, Charles, his heart rules his head. There's another question for you. Is Charles's illness a factor? Because Charles is not a well man. He's 76 and he's battling cancer. Is Andrew capitalizing on his father's illness, which has made him obviously physically diminished? You know, is he leveraging that? Is he weaponizing his own brother's illness to get his own way? Because I'll tell you that deal that he struck with Charles has been brilliant for Andrew, because he remains Prince Andrew, he remains Duke of York but just doesn't use the title, and he remains 8th in line to the throne. So the whole thing's mad, isn't it? I will say that Andrew, it's not 100% cut and dried whether he stays in the Royal Lodge. I just don't think that it's sustainable. I do not see how he can remain there in that enormous mansion for the foreseeable future, particularly with Sarah Ferguson. By the way, it's my understanding that Sarah Ferguson and Andrew are still very much in love. And it's my understanding that you cannot rule out that they have a full relationship. My insiders tell me that those two are close and very friendly, and that it's a full relationship. And I shall go no further because it's a family show. There's one thing you've got to say about Andrew and Fergie, Sarah Ferguson. They married for love and for lust. There was a chemistry there. There was an attraction. And they have made 2 daughters. And the only reason why they didn't successfully stay together is because they're a pair of indulgent, greedy narcissists. But it wasn't an arranged marriage, unlike Charles and Diana. Those two had spark. They had the hots for each other. And it's my understanding that they're still close. So it looks like they remain a unit. Of course, Andrew has got to keep Sarah Ferguson happy, because she knows where the bodies are buried. And oh boy, she could take Andrew down. She could take him down to Chinatown. One issue though is that Andrew's business dealings, one of the reasons why he can stay in the Royal Lodge is because of his income from his investments. The problem you've got is some of the companies who he's done business with are dropping him like a hot potato, and they don't want anything to do with it. So the issue is that poverty may force him out. Whatever happens, by the way, Andrew must always have royal security, because yes, he's a fool, he's made bad choices, but it wasn't his decision to be the son of Queen Elizabeth. It wasn't his decision to be the brother of King Charles. That happened by birth. Folks, it's been so great to chat. Cannot wait to see you for the next show, which will be tomorrow. In the meantime, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you're loving, let me know what you're not loving, and let's just enjoy the amazing view of where we are right now. I mean, what a country, what a city, what a town. Isn't that absolutely fabulous? And look at this well manicured lawn. It's a lot better than the Mark Dolan garden, which you might have seen glimpses of over the years. Pretty wild stuff. Oh look, and just behind me is St James's Park, the lovely pond. Isn't that gorgeous too? What a place. What a town. Start spreading the news.